This video is sponsored by Miniswap. Alright you lot, welcome back. It's time once again for a new reveal. They're continuing the little drip feed that they're doing of new miniatures from the upcoming Space Marines, well, technically Blood Angels versus Orcs box for Armageddon. And this time round, we have that new Chaplain, what we saw in the trailer. And to be fair to them, it does look decent. I think this actually looks pretty damn good. So this is the new Chaplain, and by virtue of being a chaplain and having a little bit of extra stuff going on, the kind of this is just what we already had sort of feeling I've been getting from the Space Marines is not quite there for this one. I actually really like this miniature, and I feel like it provides something a little bit different and a little bit unique. Now, admittedly, I say unique, obviously he looks like a chaplain. In that respect, he's not unique, but then again, how else are you going to make a chaplain notably a chaplain unless you give him the big old skull helmet, which this one has. The thing is, right now you don't have any real options for jump chaplains, and to be honest, I can't remember whether even an entry in the current codex, because I don't have the current Space Marine codex. But the closest you're going to get right now is if you were to take, say, Lamartis, for instance, which we can see right here, this lad. And I think actually there is a decent amount of variation between this and this new Chaplain. I've seen people say they're basically the same. I don't think that's true. Outside of the fact they both have to look like chaplains, there are specific details that are significantly different from one to the other. I mean, not to mention the fact that this one does not have a ball gag in his mouth, which Lamartis does, which I still don't quite get. I'm still not sure on it. I still think it makes the helmet look a bit weird, but hey, if you like that, more power to you. It's not really for me. This though, I think this is a decent Space Marine. This is a decent looking miniature, right? Potentially a little bit busy, which we'll go into in a moment, but all the trappings are right there, and the extra decoration is really doing a lot to lift this and separate it out. Plus, I really like the Crozius. Just a minor thing, but I really like that design of it. I think it looks really good. Now, it might be that you're looking at this Chaplain and you're thinking, I really like that, but I would also really like to get my hands on some of the older ones. Well, there is a way to do that, and the way to do that is Miniswap. So Miniswap is an online marketplace for your miniatures, built by hobbyists for hobbyists. It is a way for you to sell your old and unwanted pile of potential to people who want to start new armies or want to expand existing ones. Miniswap has a massive array of miniatures, not just for 40k, but also for Age of Sigmar, the Old World, Warhammer Fantasy, Blood Bowl, Necromunda. You name it, there is something on there for you. If you're not looking for anything specific, you can simply go to the system of your choice, decide what it is that you want to take a look at. Let's say we want to go Chaos Space Marines, and then you can pick whether you want to do new in box, new on sprue, partially or fully assembled, or bits if you're going for a bit of kit bashing. I mentioned chaplains before, let's have a look and see what we've got. I mean, for a start, we've got an old version of Lamartis right there, fully painted as well, and that's a decent looking paint job from that picture. You've got a partially assembled Primaris Chaplain on bike, and they're £10.50 less than buying them from Games Workshop. Like, that is a hefty discount. If you sign up to Miniswap using my link, which you can find in the description and in the pinned comment down below, you'll get 0% seller commission for the first 90 days and free shipping on your first order. Thank you very much to Miniswap for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to it. Alright, so straight away, one of the things I quite like about the armour for this guy is that it mimics the Chaplain in Terminator armour. When it comes to the decoration around the greaves, even on parts of the jump pack there, you have that kind of inlay, that sort of, it's not really embossment, but just that extra detail that's painted in that sort of brass colour. And that brings to mind the Chaplain in Terminator armour. It's nice to have that little link there. So Chaplain in Terminator armour, as you can see, very similar style across the greaves, which it's just a nice parallel. I would suggest also, you know, the chest has got that rib motif too, which, I mean, it works super well and it ties the two together. The thing is, you might think, well, how is that any different from, you know, what we might have got in the past? The thing is, the current Chaplain, like, if you're buying a Primaris Chaplain right now, not in Terminator armor or anything like that, you're not buying Lamartis, you're not buying the Blood Angels Firstborn Jump Chaplain. If you're just buying a Chaplain, I mean, the main option that you have is this guy. And I don't think I need to point out to you just how different the two are stylistically. Like, they could have taken this decorated Mark X, taken off the coat and given him a jump pack, and that would have been it. But they've chosen very deliberately to make him look extremely different to this. The style of the armour is definitely pretty separate to this one. Yes, you still have that rib motif across this guy's chest, but it's implemented in a wildly different way. Like, this is far more... I don't know, functional is maybe not the term, but it feels a lot more subtle, and it feels as though it's been created by taking stuff away as opposed to adding stuff. And, you know, the style of the legs is massively, massively different. There's a lot more decoration going on here as well than either the Chaplain in Terminator armour or just the standard Chaplain. There is a lot more. Like, the Chaplain in Terminator armour is relatively plain. Not that it's a bad thing, but he's not absolutely covered in bling. He's not like, you know, there isn't a bajillion chains or, you know, purity seals or anything like that. He is uncomplicated. This one, again, it's not actually that there's a huge amount going on. It's just that a lot is implied due to that big coat that he's wearing. I feel like without the coat, you would lose some of the complexity from this. In fact, you lose quite a lot of it. It's adding a huge amount of extra weight to the model. And I have to say, the move away from the pimp cane and onto a proper Croesus again is really nice to see. It's just nice to see that back. This looks heftier. It looks like it's more weighty. It looks far more fitting as a weapon than just a skull on a stick. Like, it's fine, the other one, it's not the worst thing ever, but it doesn't match up to this, you know? This doesn't just sort of remind me of what you used to get in terms of Chaplains, but it simply looks like a more effective weapon. And I know, oh, but it's got a power field or whatever, so actually it might just be a little skull, but it can do far more. I know that. That doesn't stop it from being less fun to look at. You know, there's a few things in 40k, and in fact really any sort of fictional medium, where there is an explanation as to how it works and why it works, and that's all fine, and I don't mind it, but it's still not going to be as fun as seeing something that you look at and go, that looks like it would ruin someone's day, as opposed to, please sit down and let me explain to you how, even though it's innocuous, it could actually ruin someone's day. I'm more on the obvious end of the spectrum when it comes to how weapons should look, and frankly, that looks like a more fitting weapon for cracking heads than that does. I'm afraid that's just me. You may disagree, and that's totally fine, but yeah, I much prefer that. I really like the helmet. The helmet looks great, suitably chilling and scary. The teeth are maybe a little bit much, a little bit cartoony, but then no, I don't know if that's fair. I think it's probably fine. I actually would prefer to not have something on the forehead. I think that would look a bit cleaner, and I feel like there's enough going on with the rest of the miniature that it doesn't necessarily need that. I mean, you've got the Rosarius, you've got purity seals, you've got a whole bunch of them like around the waist, you've got these little trinkets and icons all over the shop. I just don't know that that's adding enough to warrant it being there when the rest of the model is kind of busy, but it's not the worst thing in the world, and frankly it's probably something you could just file off or fill in, depending on... Kind of hard to tell which way around it is, whether it's kind of sunken in or whether it's raised up. Bit tricky to tell. But overall, as Chaplains go, this is a good looking Chaplain. Also, worth noting that, yes, the smoke is perhaps a tad obvious, but they have at least made him look like he's flying. Like, they've made an effort to make it look like he is soaring down or about to land and smack someone, as opposed to awkwardly landing on or lifting off from a weirdly angled rock. You know, the effort's been made there to look like he's airborne as opposed to landing or taking off. And I can appreciate that. I'm starting to get a bit bored of the whole, why is he perched on that rock in such a weird way? This, I think, is a decent way of doing it. We have alternate angles as well. I really do like the jump pack. The jump pack looks great. I feel like it's not just a bit more like overly decorated, but I feel like the actual like sort of turbine engine bits are a little bit different to what we've seen before, but that just could be me having a faulty memory. Frankly, it's incredibly likely that that's the case. The book looks solid. Love the book. Massive old like leather-bound tome strapped to the belt. It looks so good. I don't care about the impracticalities of that. I don't give a shit. It looks fantastic. More characters need to have Giganto books on them. I'm afraid that's just how it is. I don't make the rules. I will say from the back, I actually think the smoke's been implemented really well. As a way to keep him aloft, to keep him airborne, I think that's pretty solid. And it does mean that, also from this angle, it does mean that it looks a bit more secure than I first thought it might be. The way they've done that, I think that's a good attempt. I think that's good effort, that. Something that is interesting as well is I've just noticed one of the sort of like little extra rocket booster bits that stick out the back of the leg. It's pointed to change his direction or to keep him faced where he wants to go. Just a small detail, but I like that a lot. Admittedly, I'm not entirely sure how the top ones work, but it feels like they should be pointed in the same direction, and they're not. But, you know, that is weird actually. Why aren't those pointed in ways that match the way? It's whatever. I feel like that's maybe too nitpicky, but I don't know. You're going to have to let me know in the comments. I'm pretty sure that's the Indomitus, like, veteran icon, isn't it, as well, on that arm? So that's fun. Yeah, overall, good-looking Chaplain. Also, the moulded skull on that pauldron, I actually think that looks really good. I think that looks nice. I do like the pauldrons that have got that sort of heavier lip, that heavy bit of armour over the top of the curve. I really like those, and it would be nice to see more of them. It just adds an extra layer of something. It's not just a case of them looking more protected, it just makes them feel somehow a step closer to a fantasy guy in armour than a sci-fi guy in armour. But I could not explain to you why I feel like that. I just do. All the paper trailing behind to give that sense of like momentum and movement looks good. Same with the purity seals that are all over the shoulders and the jump pack. That works super well. Overall, nicely done. Nicely done on this one. For my money, this isn't boring. It's perhaps a little overcomplicated in places, but it feels like something that's kind of drawing on an older style, bringing it up to date, but also maintaining enough of the newer stuff that there's still something fresh in there, which is not the feeling I've been getting from the other Space Marine stuff so far. So, I mean, I like him. I think they've done a good job here. So there you go. That is the new Chaplain. Let me know what you think of him in the comments down below. In the meantime, feel free to click all the things, especially the link to Miniswap in the description and the pinned comment down below. Thank you again to Miniswap for sponsoring the video, and I'll see you for the next one.